The samurai finally gets his body back in my review of One Piece episode 598. Another pretty cool episode of One Piece that mostly focused on one major story, but there was one little interesting bit at the beginning of this week's episode. If you remember in the last episode, Law was attacked by a mysterious assailant, and we finally get to figure out who that is this week. It's this really weird guy by the name of Virgo, and he's wearing this coat, and he apparently has what appears to be either a half-eaten hamburger or steak stuck to his face. And apparently he's in line with Monet, and they're apparently working with someone against Caesar Clown. And before the scene can even really go on too long, we get to see why Law is being hurt so much, and that's because Virgo has his heart in his hand, and he's literally like squeezing it. And, you know, that's obviously got to hurt a fucking lot, so Law can't really do anything about that. There's also a small scene where we get to see that Caesar Clown has gained the trust of the other Centaur men, and he's telling them that he wants them to tie up all of the Straw Hats and everybody with Devil Fruit powers to use the Sea Prism Stones. So he's obviously going to lock them up. But the bulk of this week's episode was really all about Nami-Sanji saving the samurai's body as he was going to the bottom of this lake. And in between all of this, there are these scenes between Brook and Zoro having to fight against all of the different blobs. And there's actually some pretty funny stuff here, as you know One Piece usually has. I really thought it was funny when one of the blobs actually basically farted on Brook, and I thought that was very, very funny. I love, even though there's all this really dangerous shit going on all around him, Zoro really never seems to care about any of it. But all of a sudden the samurai just starts freaking out and rolling all over the ground, and we come back into the water and we get to see that Nami-Sanji has found this shark that's literally eating the samurai's body, and he essentially has to beat the crap out of it in order to get it back. And then it has this really tense scene where he has to swim up to the top of the surface before the poison can catch him. And, you know, pretty typical, they do save the samurai, and that's when we're actually fully introduced to this character for the first time. We learn that his name is Kinemon of the Foxfire, and he has that name for a really cool reason. And what's really great about this character is at first his personality changes almost immediately. Nami-Sanji notices this. He's like, don't act all fucking cool when you were being such a dick to us earlier. And he does have his honor. He begs forgiveness. The scene that follows is really cool, and at first I thought it might end bad, but apparently, like I said, his name is Kinemon of the Foxfire, and the reason for that is because he has this sword that apparently can create fire or cut through fire. And what he does is he cuts one of the slimes, and because they're reactive to fire, they start to explode, and this giant explosion is about to engulf all of them, and then he's able to use his sword to cut through the explosion multiple times, thus saving them. And that's pretty damn awesome, because he's, you know, at first almost seemed like he might not be a useful character, but it's cool to see that he's going to be really important. And also, he's very tall. He's about the same height as Brook, which is kind of jarring when you see it for the first time. So the episode ends with him declaring he's going to go save his son. And what's really cool about all of this is Zoro is immediately intrigued by this, because obviously he's a samurai, but he's got some really cool sword abilities. So he said that he's going to go join him. And that's where the To Be Continued comes up, and that's where we want to see more. You know, this was an episode that was, it was pretty okay. The main plot point of this one was spread a little thin, and some of the stuff with Caesar Clown, I don't think they had to show too much of. I wish they would have gotten more into the Virgo stuff at the beginning of the episode, because that's really, really interesting. I want to learn a little bit more about him. And he had some pretty cool abilities as well. He used some sort of like armament hockey ability against Law and like knocked the fuck out of him. It was really cool. Law fans won't be happy about that though. There were a lot of really funny, blatant close-ups of Nami-Sanji when he was swimming in the water that were really, really funny. And really, I think Kinemon, though, he's really the most important part of this episode. And that was actually pretty damn cool at the end when he was able to cut through that giant explosion. Because at first when I heard that he uses like a fire ability, I'm like, oh god, he's about to kill all of them. But luckily his sword can also cut through it, so that's really, really useful. So, pretty good episode here. Some of the animation was a little iffy, and there were some moments I don't think that actually needed to be in the episode, and that brings it down just a tad. I wish a little bit more would have happened with the main characters, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about Virgo, but it was still an entertaining episode on the whole. If you're a fan of the series, you should definitely check it out because it progresses the story a little bit. But it wasn't really the greatest episode in the world, so I'm just going to drop a 7 on this one. But still, check it out. It's still entertaining. It's not awful. And if you guys did see this week's episode, how did you like it? And I'd love to know your favorite part about it. You can let me know with your comments below. And you guys know the drill. Before you leave, make sure and hit that like button so you can give this video a thumbs up. That concludes this review today. We'll see you next time. SuperKamiGuru9000. out. And let's change gears for a second. We just got done reviewing One Piece, which is goofy, fun, and awesome. But now let's go to something that's dark, grim, and grotesque. If you guys want to check out my review of the most recent episode of Attack on Titan, you can check it out right here. It's a really, really awesome series. If you're really into anime, I highly suggest you check it out. And make sure to thumbs up and subscribe.